I have seen presented many times a question using a graph like this, where in fact they don't state specific points on the line. You know, this line here looks as though it goes through that point there. This one, oh, that doesn't show it very well, does it? Let's do a different colour for that. That point there, it looks as though it goes through the 600 for the Y and the 8 for the X-axis, but they don't actually state that is indeed the case. So we assume, and really that's not very good mathematics, like here as well, we assume if that's 200, that's 100, so that's 150. We assume it crosses at 150. We don't really know, could be wrong. So let's adopt their method, because this could be what you'll come across. Let us assume that it crosses at that point there, where we have X at 8 months, and Y at 600. Note it's thousands. This is a graph of costs, running costs for a company, all made up of course, and at the beginning of the year their current costs were at that point there, which is, if that's 100, that's 150. We have to have a structure of an equation. I like this one. Let's go for green. Y is equal to mx plus c, where that is the slope of the graph, this is the value we pump in, and that is the constant. You will sometimes see it represented a different way. It could be y plus mx equals c. Or they might actually give you some numbers. There could be, for example, 3y plus 2x equals 56. Numbers made up. They don't have to be positive. It could be minus 3y plus 2x equals minus 56. You know, it's just, they're all the same sort of thing really, but I'm going to be focusing on that one because it's the one I like. Not comfortable with manipulating equations, have a look at some of my previous videos where I do it in great detail, and I could be jumping steps here because I want to try and keep the video a bit short. Right, we have, first of all, let's look at that. By my previous video about graphs, we know that is the point where the straight line crosses the y-axis. So that is 50, 100, 150, 200, so that's 150. We know straight away that that is 150. And it's positive. It comes up here. Y, now what we need now, so we have mx equals y. We need to find out the slope gradient m, which is change in y over the change in x, which is the last value, whatever one it is, minus the first value. And we always use the x-axis to determine which is first and which is last, and we always read it in that direction, left to right. Okay, well, we've got 2 points. We've got this one here, so we can see we're not exactly sure where it crosses definite points, and that one looks as though it really does cross at that point, so that is the one we're going to use. If you like, I'm going to call that point 2. It's the second point. This one here I'm going to call the first point, so that is point 1. See, point 1, point 2. We have to have point 2 remove point 1, both for the x and the y's. Alright, let's look at the y. Change in y. Y always goes on the top. Change in Y is last minus first, which is 0.2, but the Y value, minus 0.1, but the Y value. So 0.2 Y value is 600. There's the minus. 0.1, their Y value is 150. So that would equal 200 of that is 4, so it's 450. Check. 4, 5, 600. Yeah. Alright, so that is our Y value, our Y change. Now let's look at the X. We have 0.2 minus 0.1 for the X. X values, 0.2. There's 0.2, come down is 8. Just put a separate a line through that there. 0.2 for the X, there's 0.2 is 8. Minus 0.1 for the X, there's 0.1. Well, X is 0. That is nothing. It's 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, so that is nothing. So it is remove nothing. Equals 8. Oops, nearly put 80. Oh, that is exchange. Exchange. The exchange, yeah, exchange of the check. Right, okay. So we now have our slope. Lift that up a little bit. Right, so we have our slope, and so our Y equals mx plus c. The c we already discovered was 150. There's the x, because that's any value that we put in on this one here. But we found the slope. The slope indeed was 450 over 8. Now look. 450 over 8. Change in Y was 450. The change in X was 8. So that equals, can I simplify that? I can only take it down so far. If I halve that, that is 225 over 4. If I take it any different to that, this bottom number any lower, this does not become a whole number. So if we have a slope of 225 over 4, and that equals our Y. So that is indeed the equation of this line here. That is the equation of the line. Having found that, we can work out the cost, the total cost for any month or part of a month. We can change the value of X by looking at this and putting it in there, and we can work out what our cost was. Different approach. Suppose we're given or told what the slope is. Using the same graph, we worked out it was 225 over 4. Right, so we know what it is, and we're told it passes through a point. Right, now that's, look, I'm going to do where I have 0.2, you know, it goes through there. Right, so we're told that it passes through a point. Now a way of showing a point is you have the X first and the Y. You know, W, X, Y, same way as the alphabet. So the X coordinate, we are told, is 8. And we are told the Y coordinate is 600. Now you're given this without having the graph. Right, so I've hidden the graph. This is the information that you are given. So let's, if you have that, what's the equation of the line? Well, we, if you remember, or you slope m equals the change in y over the change in x. Now I'm looking for an equation of form y is equal to mx plus c, where y is positive. Now it's an old habit I've got, writing positive like that, and you can have negative like that. It comes from something called statics. Right, so we have this condition here. Now I want y to be positive because it's positive in there, so we know that the change, a change in y is y minus some value. So if y is the latest value, the greatest value, you take from that another value, and yeah, so y in this case is 600. So we're assuming that y, if you have your graph like that, and there is your line, there's your, say, your 600. We're assuming our y is to the right and is greater. We don't know what it is. Right? Actually, this is 8. Wait a minute, y is 600, isn't it? And x is 8. So we've got our known point, and we are assuming here that the point we're considering is to the right. We always read it that way. So that is the greatest, that is the least. That is the greatest, that is the least. So we'll subtract the least from the greatest, or the first from the last. So we have y, this y here, minus the 600, line across, and we have x minus the 8. Get rid of this. Manipulation. Like I say, if you're not happy about manipulation, look at some of my earlier videos. That I want to move it as a group. I don't want the whole thing underneath. I want to get rid of it in fraction form. So, this m, we're told it's that value there. So let's change that as well while we can. We're told it's 225 over 4. 225 over 4. This is information we're given, and we presented it in the structure you would use to find out the slope. So now we manipulate it. I'm going to move the equals across a bit. This is a group, take it right the way across, so we have 225 over 4, multiply that by x minus 8. I've now moved this from underneath to there, so that puts this on its own here, y minus 600. But we want y to be on its own. Okay, it's to the right of the equals, it doesn't matter, here it's to the left. So we go, y is equal to negative 600. Take it over the other side, it becomes positive 600. This is positive, so it is plus 225 over 4 times x minus 8. Right, 600 doesn't change, plus everything in the bracket is multiplied by that. So we have 225 over 4 times x, so it is 225 over 4x. That's that part there. There's a minus there, so we put minus 225 over 4 times the 8. Now look, that would go into that once, it would go into it twice. Twice times that is 450. Right, so we have here that multiplied by the 8 is 450. Then we have the y. Okay, we got 600 minus 450. Call that 500, that leaves 100 there. Put 50 back and it becomes 150. So 600, remove that, is 150. Plus 225 over 4x equals y. We now have our equation set by convention. We normally have the y on the left. So I'm just going to move the things around. There you go. Now, I jumped a lot of steps. I did it at my speed. You will need to watch it a few times if you're not convinced or happy about manipulation. I will produce another video following this one, and I will go through it step by step so that it will confirm to you how it works. If you're happy with it, don't watch the next video.